Welcome to the Wednesday Team Prosperity Weekly Meeting. This week, we're going to start a multi-series week on marketing, get into some general stuff today, and then get more into in-depth on platforms, on different types of marketing, what the objectives are, what works and what doesn't work. You know, we are talking about building something from the ground floor. And if you talk about it in terms of watching like a tree grow, you know, if you never plant the seed, if you never water the tree, you can't expect it one day to be this full tree with branches going out in every direction. And in this case, really even hard to see through the top of it. Once again, you are responsible for the early growth stages of your business. And if you don't put the effort in, or you're on this kind of slow road towards traction, it gets very, very defeating after a while. And then most people psychologically can't take that defeating experience for such a period of time until they just quit. So understand what you're doing, understand that you have to get through an initial kind of hump or growth period, getting that traction. But once you do, you're going to identify, you know, what works, what doesn't work. And this is going to be a lot easier for you. And as you build an organization, you can teach other people how to preemptively overcome those roadblocks. Becomes easier for them. We have been in our Facebook group loading each and every month in terms of, you know, who's doing what, sales, partners, you know, growth. If you're not getting stuff loaded into the month, you know, that's revenue, that's income, that's what we're looking for. You can kind of see who's doing it. And then, like I said, if you're not loading stuff into the month, that's a main objective. Just have the activity to get the results. Massive activity on the front side is the only way to get through the learning curve faster and get to what you want, which is some initial, you know, agency or branch growth that leads to the passive income or the overrides that you're looking for. You know, right here, right now, that's what our main emphasis on, you know, for things like the 12-week year, which we are in week 2 right now. We always talk about the fact that you have to value this moment right now. You know, what am I going to do after this meeting, directly after the meeting? Am I going to just, you know, go do nothing? Am I going to dial into some contacts, some follow-ups? What exactly do I do on each given moment? And do I value that moment? Do I understand that time as an investment in my business? And am I getting a return on it? Am I getting, you know, nothing back because I'm investing nothing into my business? It's so valuable to understand the value of the moment, as well as what you need to do and what you don't need to do in any given moment. It leads us to, you know, we talked about this plenty of times. You need to understand that the emotional cycle of change for a potential client, for a potential partner, for yourself, you know, it's a repeated pattern if it's not broken. For instance, or for example, as someone, for example, comes into a new business opportunity, that's uninformed optimism. They're just kind of like on a candy high. They're excited, they understand the possibilities. But as they start to work through the business and understand the time that's needed to be invested, the resources, the learning curve, they slip into what's called informed pessimism. Now, if we do nothing for the business, or if we do activity for the business, we all end up at some point the valley of despair. Now, the key thing to understand psychologically for yourself, as well as helping clients change, helping partners change, is that we all have a choice down here. We can go back and give up and start something new, and then just completely be ping-ponged into this position continuously where we never break through to the other side. Valley of despair happens. Are we going to fight through to get to the other side, which is the expectations of success? Or are we just going to give up, go to something new, get right back to that same position, give that up? Remember that the more that we quit and the more that we give up, the easier it is for ourselves to accept doing that going forward. So, you know, we all are in a psychological battle, you know, with ourselves, with our clients, with our partners, to help them. Change is hard. People don't like change, but if we know what change will bring about, then we're able to coach people through these, you know, kind of valleys to get them through the other side. Your worst phone call ever, meaning that you're the worst day that you have and the worst phone call that you have, is always going to trump, and it's always going to beat no phone call at all. Even in your best day, if you're feeling, you know, 100+% that day, everything, you know, health wise, mentally you're feeling good, but you don't pick up that phone, then the worst phone call on your worst day is still going to beat that. So understand that you're not going to be good in the beginning. You're not going to be talented with your verbiage and the flow of communication, but you get there by actually going through the process. So you have to do that day in and day out. I was listening to somebody who needed help with a educational meeting the other day. The person was sick. The other person who answered the phone, I could hear the conversation, and he was excited about what we're doing. You know, the language, like I said, will come, the verbiage will come, but we can't teach and we can't implement that excitement that somebody has for bringing a solution to the marketplace and being able to help so many people. When I hear stuff like that, that's a leading indicator this person will be successful in this business once they get past the learning curve, because they're excited about what they do and it comes out in conversations. Last week, we talked about replacing, the information that people have, debunking myths with factual alternatives, helping those people realize that most of the time they're in the place that they're in because they have the wrong information. And then once they realize they have the wrong information, we help replace that wrong information with the right information, helps them make better decisions. And we also talked about reaching desired outcomes with the discipline and the association. Who ends up working? It's A or B. It's going to be us or our assets. And then, we can't have it both ways. So our choices have consequences. And when sitting down and educating, when sitting down with partners and figuring out goals and targets and objectives, we can't have it both ways. We can't do nothing and have a successful business. There's going to be trade-offs. So this week, we want to start, like I said, a multi-week series about marketing to help you guys understand for yourself. And as you build a business, what really marketing is, and then the different ways that we market ourselves, the different ways that we market our business, our solutions, how we sometimes, lead the marketing with general education. So let's dive down into, an aerial view. And you guys need to understand that this is your business. You are building a business inside of a business. So you have, a lot of opportunity to be creative and be the kind of person that can create interest in the marketplace. But marketing is really a very, very simple kind of tiered formula. You have the sources. I mean, where is the marketing? Where do I go out? Where is it that I'm putting out information, ads, whatever it might be? And then what are the expectations from those sources? Meaning, what am I doing? Where is it putting out? And what am I expecting it to do in return? Give back to me. And then ultimately the telltale will be the results, right? Am I getting the results that I'm looking for? If no, how do I tweak it to make it better? If I'm getting the results that I'm looking for, how do I kind of throw fuel on the fire and burn it, brighter and larger? You've got to think like a business owner. And we just said, if you're building a business within a business, you have to understand that if you're constantly thinking about how to make your business better, then, that's going to have a positive impact on your business. If you're never thinking about your business or you're completely shut off from your business, then it's going to have negative consequences. So you need to constantly think about, and when we talk about marketing, do people know that I'm in business? Do they know what I do? Do they know how I solve problems? Do they know how I can help them? Do they know why I'm the right person to talk to? And these are the things that you constantly need to be thinking about with your business as a business owner, because you ultimately are responsible for driving the growth that's going to get you to the end point you're looking for. If you're looking for 6-7 figures, you're looking for passive income, you're looking for a portfolio of digital agencies, that comes from strategy, plan of action, and execution. One of the things that I think it's easier when you start to understand that you are a business and you are a business owner, you do have marketing, but also networking is a great way. And we were talking about this before the meeting started, of learning how to disqualify people. And if you can disqualify people without them really knowing what's going on, it works even better through just a general conversation. As a business owner, learn how to network with other people to learn what they do. So for example, why do you do it? What do you do? That's great. How long have you been doing it? Do you like doing it? Is there any particular reason why you started doing that? If you get positive interactions going with people, you build interest in what you're doing, by showing interest in other people. Naturally, it'll come up, through either the conversation that you initiate by raising awareness, and we're going to talk about that, or they'll naturally just ask from their side, what is it that you do? So understand that marketing is a more direct way to get in front of a targeted persona. Networking is just the ability to go out and talk to people. And then by talking to people, you're able to, disqualify, qualify, take the conversation in one of, numerous different ways. Business owners like to talk about their business, and they like to talk to other business owners to see what they do, to see if there's some way that we can help each other. Thinking like a business owner will put you on a track to talk about and network with other people. Another thing that, in your marketing, objectives and your marketing targets, you need to understand that we have a great advantage here. Because typically, if you were running an office, if you had an office on your own, or even if you were just working out of somebody else's office, you have expenses associated with that. You have gasoline with traveling around. You have the food, the coffee, either for yourself or for other people. If you're going on, the lunches, whatever it might be, you've got, clothes that have to go to the dry cleaner. All of those things are removed in a virtual environment. So what that means for you as a business owner, you have to be thinking, okay, if I'm not spending money on these expenses, how can I take that money and reinvest it into my business? If you don't have any money to reinvest into your business, you got to think, if I was, in a situation where I was an agent driving around, would I not have money for gas? You would find the money. So let's even break it down to a very, very low number. Let's say that you save $10 a day by not doing the traditional physical offices, driving around, all the things that typically, many years ago were involved with a business like this. Well, $10 a day, that's $300 a month. If you're disciplined to pull that out every day, build yourself a budget, it can go into digital marketing strategy, it can go into lead generation, it can go into automation to help you. But ultimately, what you need to understand is it goes from a fixed expense into an investment in your business. And when you're talking about investing in your business, it should get a return. Your return should be, I think if you're making at least triple your money on an investment, it's pretty good. We've got some marketing that's returning 400% or 500% for agents. That's pretty decent. So let's go back to the figure that we just talked about, $300. If you were investing that into something that generated a 432% return on that investment, it's $1,300. So every month, would you trade $300 for $1,300? Now, when you're starting out, it's a roll of the dice. You can't just market or do something for, one period of time and then stop. It's got to be continuous so that you can get the ups and downs. And statistically speaking, it'll revert back to the mean. And you know exactly, I'm putting this much money into this. I'm expecting this much money out. Those are data-driven decisions. We are going from having expenses in a business to having money freed up for investment in the business. This grows your business. This is also something you can teach other people. Another thing that we have to do as a business owner to market our business is we need to learn how to become a better marketer. Once again, this is a generational opportunity. The more you do on the front side, the more you can teach other people, the faster and the more velocity you gain in an agency build out. So once again, let's break it down very generally. If you're putting an hour a week into studying about marketing, that's 52 hours a week. That's 260 hours over a 5-year period, and over a decade's period of time, that's 520 hours. Now, once your brain starts to consume information and learn about something, it's probably going to want more of it. So what would you do? Well, if you do an hour a day, 365 hours in 1 year, you've got 70% of a decade's worth of learning completed in an hour. So when you guys start to understand your business and break it down and realize everything is just numbers, and you can create an equation where you get to an endpoint at a longer period of time or a shorter period of time, depending on how fast or how slow you want to go. We're going to be talking over the next few weeks about, your digital online presence, your marketing assets, your lead generation, where those come from, content management. What is it that you're saying online? What are you doing online? And is that getting any type of response or attracting anybody? And then finally, brand. You need to be living your brand. What does that mean? How does that look? And why is that so hard for a lot of people getting into, becoming a business owner? At the end of the day, we've got the process, we've got the product. We don't need you to come in and write code for technology. Your objective and your, position here is to provide the human infrastructure, the human element to your business. That's on the client side, that's on the partner side, that's on the management side. So once you start to understand that I am marketing for the purpose of speaking to certain people about certain things to take them to certain action steps, once again, the more defined you can be, the easier this becomes, because realistically, once you understand that, it comes down to two things. This makes it even easier. What my market is and what my message to that market is. Remember, trying to be just everything to everybody, just throwing out random information to anybody that will listen, it comes off cheesy and ineffective. When you start dialing into personas, talking to specific people continuously about certain things, it gets easier for you. And then every single day, you know that you're going into the same types of conversations, which makes you more and more confident to take on more of those conversations. So you have to pick a niche. You're going to get the natural diversification from your business build out by bringing in other partners who happen to, dominate another certain type of niche. But pick out a niche and dominate that niche. Like we talked about, once you start understanding and thinking like a business owner about how, once I understand my niche, how is it that I'm going to get in front of these people? Target specific people, create personas, because that's able to create a quality audience. Now I know exactly, I'm trying to get in front of this person with this kind of message for this reason. You're doing that continuously over and over and over again, and you're building that quality audience. And now you've got the messages that are going out to a number of these people every single day. And like I said, be defined in your approach. If you do the same thing, if you didn't know how to play the guitar, but you wanted to learn how to play one song, and that's all that you did, you could probably learn how to play that song without learning how to play the guitar. Same thing here. If you've got a persona and you're defined in that approach to the persona, doing it day in and day out, you're going to master talking to that type of person. And then this big business is just about having enough of that communication day in and day out. Communication plan is very simple. Like I said, if you know who you're trying to talk to and why, it becomes easier. If you don't know who you're trying to talk to or what the message is, you're just kind of throwing information out, throwing communication out, and it's not landing anywhere. And it's not getting to a target or objective because it's indirect. It doesn't have any purpose behind it. It doesn't have any intention behind it. Once you understand a persona, and once you understand how to dial into that persona, it will create leads for you. And then from the lead generation process, you have people coming into your business, and then you understand more and more and more about these people. So if a persona is, let's just call it X, what is that persona? What makes up that particular type of person or persona? And then where are they found? And this is not physical locations. In an online business, what groups are they in? Where are they going for, information? Where are they going for entertainment online? And then the other side of this is just two factors. How do they think and how do they act? Remember, the more that you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes, that persona, and start to understand how to solve problems that you either know they have or perceive problems that a good percentage of them do have, becomes easier and easier and easier to do this. We've used this example before, but this kind of will hit home to help you guys understand. You can't talk to every generation the same. So if I'm trying to talk to a baby boomer and a millennial with the same information, it's going to get lost because I'm not identifying that person as that generation with pertinent information that makes sense to that generation. So, baby boomers and millennials, they grew up at different times, they have different visions of the world, and they have different issues and problems they're trying to solve. So you need to understand, if you're just coming out with the same information to just basically anybody that will listen, it's going to fall on deaf ears. What you bring to the marketplace, that innovation, it creates disruption, and that disruption, unlocks new value. The reason that a persona is so important in understanding who you're talking to in marketing and in networking is because that disruption, that lead or that value creation is going to be different for everybody that you speak to. So you have to understand what you're doing and the value that creates, how does it relate to that person I'm speaking to? And the more you can make it relatable, the easier these conversations become. The debt to wealth process is a very general term. So you have to understand, if we're just coming out with that, what does that mean to any particular person? Well, it's a very general term, right? Kind of a cliche term. When you're starting to just dive in and dig down deep to understand, taking that process, taking someone from point A to point Z, what does it mean to them on a personal level? Those are the motivating factors. Those are the reasons somebody will connect emotionally to an endpoint to drive them to do the things we need to do. Going back to what we talked about earlier, taking them through that emotional cycle of change. We've got to start the conversation. And if you're not good with small talk, the easiest way to start conversations, like we talked about earlier, is to ask questions. Like a blind date, that's the easiest way that I know to kind of refer it to you guys, is just go out and ask questions. People give information. And once you start getting information from people, you're able to start helping people in a number of different ways. Some of the questions that you guys can ask is just getting feedback and opinions. We talked about, what we put in the Facebook group and why. Some of the times it's just to raise awareness for you guys of how to raise awareness for other people. The amount of debt that Americans have taken on, the amount of new home mortgages that have been written, it's just, it's record breaking. So in these conversations, when you learn to ask questions, when you learn to ask for people's opinion, feedback, see if they agree or disagree, you're naturally going to get the information that you're looking for, and you're going to be able to start interviewing people. And when you go from a sales mentality to an interviewing mentality, once again, you are learning how to pick out the right type of people and disqualify the wrong type of people. Even if it's 20 seconds into the conversation, if somebody's disqualified, they're disqualified, you've done your job, it's time to move on. This pyramid works for clients. This pyramid works for partners. This pyramid works for marketing. You have to understand that the rapport, credibility, the trust factor on the bottom is a lot of times going to come from the outside in terms of marketing person understanding what you do, but more importantly, why you do it. And as you're talking to people, asking for their opinion, asking them questions, naturally information comes out. And we talk about this. Once you get information, they're doing 70% of the talking, you're doing 30%. Your 30% is to raise awareness and pivot into the conversation where appropriate to help them with solutions and action steps. That information is going to uncover stuff. If you just learn to be a good listener, you're going to get everything that you want, and you'll find the disqualifications, or you'll find the qualifications to either end the conversation and move on or continue it to a next action step. In the warm market, the only thing that I think that really works in the warm market is to approach it from a mission-based perspective. What I mean is the warm market, they should have some relationship with you, right? So, if you value their opinion, can you ask them for a favor? Can they give you some feedback? And then once they understand what you're doing, do they know anyone who would benefit from information like this? If you're giving the right information out that we have, your warm market, whether it be introduced in terms of asking for feedback, asking for their opinion, they're going to want some more information, and they'll be able to help you with the referral part once they understand, and understand what it is that you're doing and the actual solution that you're bringing to the marketplace and why it's meaningful to their people that they might know. Remember, networking, talking, asking for things, getting to know people is a great way to get the information that you're looking for. You need to understand that why you do something, for a whole entire millennial generation, they're based on causes. So they grew up very cause based. So why does your organization do what it does? You need to understand, and we've talked about this before, most organizations, or every organization out there, can tell you what they do. Most of them can tell you how they do it. Very few can tell you why they do it. You separate yourself by understanding why is it that we're doing on a company level, organizational level, a self level, why is it that we're doing what we're doing? And then the rest of the markets are about, like I said, once you've created that persona, finding them on social media, identifying them in the common market. So if I'm looking for, let's say a real estate professional, and I went to school with them, or we shared a civics community center, or whatever it might be, some type of loose affiliation buys me that first, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds maybe, and it creates some type of affiliation where the person, now I have at least a few seconds of their time to get into why is it that we're talking. And then the cold market, once again, if you know who you're trying to identify and you've got that message that's going to resonate with a good percentage of those, doesn't matter where you're finding these people. If you've got something that's, going to attract those people into a pipeline, and our pipeline, remember, is appointment based. We're looking to talk to people. We're looking to educate people. We're looking to get to know people. In your advertisement, how you place yourself, whether it be personal contact, whether it be, handling events, going to events, whether it be online presence, whether it be referrals and networking, you have to understand that if you do a combination of these things designed around a persona and a specific message, you're going to get a pretty good response after you get past a learning curve. However, if you do little to none of this, you can expect little to nothing on the backside. The easiest way that I think that we found to work a business like this is front load your business. Give away something on the front side of value that has people opt in, give them additional information that's geared around either having them opt out or opt in to get those one-on-one education meetings. What's a one-on-one education meeting? It's allowing us to, open up their mindset, educate them, take the general interest into more specific interests, but also, get the information that we're looking for. As we're educating, we're talking to them, we're getting to know their situation, and that allows us to, once again, disqualify when we find it necessary. We're asking people to look, check things out, but when you do that, there's different ways to introduce guides, ebooks, information. You have to understand, you have to create excitement around what you're doing. If you come in, monotone, mundane, not excited about the possibilities of what you can create for a person that you're talking to on the other side, or the general public in terms of like online marketing, advertising, you've got to create excitement. People are going to be drawn to people that they think can do two things: help them out, but also they want to be around. Nobody wants to sit through a presentation and talk to somebody where they're not excited to be around them. So make the connections, but understand, debt, math, wealth, a lot of these things people fear. You've got to create excitement for the fact that there are possibilities and life outcomes that can be created with proper strategy, plans of execution, and the actual discipline to get it done. The information that we have on the front side is extremely valuable. So once you have the persona dialed in, you have the message to that persona, and you have the information going out, and remember that information is free. We give away something of value to create a position of power in the conversation, to have lead creation, and have the opportunity, through that opt-in URL to take people through almost like a factory-like pipeline to create outcomes. Those outcomes are aided, guys, by campaigns and triggers. So you're going to have some automations that allow for people in certain areas to go through and either, opt out, to schedule the appointment, to get a reply back from you, to submit a survey, whatever it might be. But you also have to understand that automation gets stale. So if I'm receiving kind of like bot-like messages for too long a period of time and there's no personalization, I'm probably going to opt out. So the automation is great, helps stay in front of your clients and potential partners, but you have to understand that your job is also to monitor the factory, push things along the factory pipeline to create outcomes. Don't let things stay too stale for too long a period of time, because then it just becomes, dead. This is all we're asking for out of our digital factory. We're trying to create a pipeline, gives away valuable stuff for free, that gets people interested in talking to us to continue the conversation, to learn more, get one-on-one help, and ultimately find a way to get them to where they want to go. And that's all these appointments are. Yes, we have education, we have demos, but it really boils down to this, guys. If I'm talking to somebody, where are they now? What's going on in their life right now? Why are they talking to me? And where are they trying to go? Everybody's got a different endpoint. That's unique and specific to their situation. You have to find the why. Where is it they're trying to go? Why are they trying to get there? And how do they get there? So where are we now? Just like we're plugging coordinates in the GPS, where are we now starting? Where are we trying to get to in an end destination? And what are the directions to get us there? And then, if we're making that change, they're going to go through that emotional cycle of change. What are they willing to do to get to that positive outcome? We've laid out the map. We get there to an endpoint. We can see it. We can feel it with emotion. What are we willing to do along the way to make sure that we get there? And then ultimately, number 5 is where you fit in. How do you fit into the plan? If nowhere, you disqualify, then move on. If you fit into the plan to help them get from point A to point Z, you have to help them understand how it's going to work. Who do we work with? Who do we not work with? What are the expectations of the relationship? And can both sides make a commitment to get this done? Your brand is one of the things that we're going to concentrate on. Your brand has to be authentic. So yes, you want to focus, but you have to be genuine. Tell a story. And that story is not going to be always about great accomplishments or success stories. It's just going to be about you building a business day in, day out, week in, week out. What's happening in your business? What's going on? What is working? What's not working? How do you feel on any given day? That's the stuff that's kind of hard for a lot of us. But once you get past that hump and you're authentic and you can share some stuff, it'll attract the right kind of crowd. And then just be consistent with your brand. Like I said, don't just show one side. Be ready and willing to fail. Be ready and willing to share that with the public. Create a positive impact. So don't be out there arguing, belittling people. When people hear from you, whether it's a post, whether that's an engagement, a comment, a direct message, it should have a positive impact. If you don't know what a brand is, don't know how to create a successful brand, just follow the examples that are already out there, whether they're in this industry or an alternate industry. It's the same type of blueprint. And then live your brand. Let other people tell your story. If you're doing the right thing in the marketplace, you're helping enough people, there should be some user-generated content, some testimonials, some things that are said about you. And when those things are said about you, learn how to link it back to your brand for other people to have an easier time to find it and be exposed to those positive interactions about you. And then last, guys, have fun with your brand. Don't make this a chore. Make it something that you get interested in. Make it a hobby. Make it something that you invest some time into, but on a lighter side. Your brand should be a reflection of you. And your brand can start with your purpose. So how do you see yourself, to the world? What is it that you would want if you were outside looking in at you? How would you want the outside world to see your purpose? Our company comes from a combination of smart technology, data-driven education, but ultimately what we're doing, and the way I see our purpose, is twofold. Number one, we're a very solutions-based company to big problems that Americans are facing, and then we're educators. Once you kind of understand that you have solutions to big problems and you're going to educate people into buying decisions, once again, it becomes very easy to talk to certain people with certain messages for certain types of reasons. And then once you develop your brand, once you develop and start to understand what it is that you're trying to do and why, the rest of this stuff falls in place, because without understanding that prior information, when you look at something like this, it's just a bunch of words. And it's not going to make sense to you. But once you will start to understand your persona, what you're doing, why, how you want to present your brand, all of this is just an outline of how to take that information, that purpose, that strategy, and develop an online marketing business around that. And we're going to go through all of these in the coming weeks. And then essentially you want to make sure that you're following the steps. You don't want, to blindly throw money at something if you don't understand it. That's one of the worst. You wouldn't sit down, at, for example, Las Vegas playing poker and not understand the rules of the game. You're going to get your money taken. You don't know how to play. You want to come in and you want to spend some time building a brand, getting out there, talking to people, networking, so you can go through the process. So as you have the money, it's to scale your business, to make data-driven decision. Once again, not just to randomly throw money like we're gambling and see what happens. I'm putting money into this for a very specific reason, expecting a specific outcome. Every day, part of being a marketer, part of building a brand, part of being an online business owner is you got to be out there building your audience. And once again, if you have certain type of people that you want to surround yourself with, it's a lot easier to go out and identify those people and bring them in. If you're not building your audience continuously, you're talking to the same people over and over and over again. And what you're saying becomes stale and repetitive. You need to build the audience and then engage. Get stuff out there that, and ask for comments, ask for people's engagement, but ultimately be somebody that's putting out information that others are engaging with and others are, wanting to see. And then at the appropriate time, at the appropriate place, you sell the appropriate parties. The alignment of who you're trying to surround yourself with and the engagement of that particular person is one of the best tips for marketing that I can give you guys, because once you understand like the alignment of certain types of people and how those people will engage with certain types of comment or content and material and information, once again, it becomes a lot easier to plan out what you want to do for your online business. The consistency of doing something day in, day out, whether it's the education, the sales, the recruiting, the marketing, it's all going to be found in the consistency. That's the key to your business. I've seen people come in, like do so much work over a 90-day period and then just fall off. I've seen people consistently do work over a longer period of time and build a pretty good business. So the consistency, whether you're going 30 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour, you got to continue. Don't slow down and certainly don't stop in a model like this. Organically, paid advertisement, whatever it might be, when you're marketing, you've got to understand it takes 90 to 120 days to build a pipeline. Through that process, you're really accumulating so that you can start to go back to what we talked about, analyze, make data-driven decisions, understand what's working, what's not. You cannot do that after 5 days, 15 days, 25 days. You've got to give something. And once again, the consistency of doing it day in, day out, 3 or 4 months to really make a determining factor about, is it working? Is it not working? If it's not working, what needs to be changed? Ultimately, what you want to do for your business is you want to create inbound marketing. There's nothing better than waking up and having leads come in from people who actually want to talk to you, has general interest in what you're doing, wants additional information, wants education, whatever it might be. Always manufacturing the demand for outbound marketing. Sometimes we have to do that in the beginning, but ultimately what we're trying to teach here is the ability to move from outbound marketing to inbound marketing and then teach other people how to do the same. We're going to go through all this stuff in the next couple of weeks. And then you need to understand that if you have an opportunity building your business to create automation, to create shortcuts, to become more efficient, and you don't take that opportunity and seize that opportunity, other people will, and they'll start to advance further beyond you. So understand, from an individual and a team perspective, automation, efficiency, all of those things that we're trying to implement to give us a competitive advantage, even internally in this company, is very, very important. So always be on the lookout. I talk to most everybody that wants to network. So if somebody's on LinkedIn and know they're trying to sell a LinkedIn selling system, a lead generation system, I'll talk to them. Many other people won't, because they know from the outsider looking in, this person's trying to sell me something. But there could be an opportunity to partner up. There could be information they give me that I take away that helps me with my business. So you have to have a growth mindset and realize that, even conversations that you don't think you can extract value from, you might be able to extract value from. And you want to be systematic in what you're doing. Once again, if you're doing something that's working and you can teach other people how to do that, great. If you're just doing something that can't be replicated, it's good for you. It's not going to be so good for an agency build out when other people are looking at that saying, hey, I can't do what he or she is doing. So I think I'm just going to give up because I can't make it like that person. So you have to understand what you're doing and how you're doing it. Can it be taught to other people? You got to take the first step, take the last step. So marketing is something that can be a learned skill. None of us were born as expert marketers. But if you're not willing to go out there, you're not willing to put yourself out there, try, fail, learn, get better at what you're doing, you're always going to be at that front step. And then nothing ever happens. You can't get to the end without taking the first step. Same thing with marketing. You have to put time, energy, resources in there and be a student of the craft. When you're marketing, you're going to have different goals, different objectives. In the beginning, you know, your objectives and your goals might be something very small. And then as you grow your organization out, it may be more, you know, different types of goals, bigger goals. But understand that you have to have some way to measure yourself. So what am I trying to do? And am I getting there? So if you're going to run a mile, maybe every 10th of a mile, you have a marker to show where you've gotten to. Same thing here. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? And let's measure you how close or how far away you came. That's the only way to understand getting better, getting worse, not getting anywhere at all. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about today in the Intro to Marketing series is, you know, you got to stay committed to what you're doing. You got to be determined to see it out. You got to stay focused. You know, grit is the secret and the recipe for success. If you have grit, you can see it out. You can get through, you know, the good days and the bad days without being too high and too low. Stay even keel, put your nose down and get to work. You've got an excellent opportunity to create winning situations for yourself, your clients and your partners. And that gives you something to be proud of and to give back to. So that's what we've got for this week. Next week, we're going to get more defined into, like I said, email marketing, text marketing, online marketing, social media messages, what works, what doesn't work, and why.